Teddy J on the beat again, yeah. Me say life is a journey, and you have to learn it. Respect not given, my youth you have to earn it. The bridges where you cross, make sure you're not burning. Anything you
Teddy
want,
J is a young Guyanese entertainer.
In a sweet Guyana, I want me born and grow. It's a real paradise, most beautiful place I know. Just watch how the river semi flow, and the sun just a shine on the forest, it's a glow.
Singer, an artist, also a barber. Many things under his belt. Also a young entrepreneur. We were lucky to have him here on this trip here to Suriname. So I'll ask him a few questions and see where he's at. How is the support and all of that? Because I know it's tough for young people finding a way, staying grounded, finding a place in Guyana to stay and say, hey, you know, this is my home, I'm gonna stay. Most young people that I know of are leaving.
So I just have to ask leaving as well. What home is home, so.
I want to get the people to know you first. You know, who's Teddy J? And what is it that you do? Some of them may not know some of your songs. The heritage song that you
Me have the flyer on my left and on my right, and have a cake and little cassava. All I wanna do every day is I just wanna sport, fish, and drink out all the worry. Jumping on my boat, babe, some coming home to get ready.
song that you played for me yesterday, which was dope.
Yeah.
You know? Play that one there for the camera now, let him hear what's on there.
I just wanna sport, fish, and drink out all the worry. Jumping on my boat, babe, some coming home to get ready. Yeah. I got some worm and the worry juice. All I wanna do is sport, fish, and drink out all the worry.
This is hard, bro. Introduce yourself there, buddy, and tell them a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Stephen Russell originally, but I go by the stage name Teddy J Official from Kokwani, Region 10. A lot of you might know Kokwani or might not know Kokwani. Don't worry, I will introduce you guys to Kokwani as well. So I'm 26 years old. I'm currently a barber in Kokwani. I have my own barbershop and everything, so that is what I do. Besides the music, that's what I do for a living. That's my job. Yeah, basically I'm a barber, a singer. Oh, and I love traveling, so I'm a traveler as well.
And that's why
I'm here in Suriname with
we get to pull Teddy
with the
J on
backyard
this
cafe.
one. Yeah. So one of the things that I do, and a lot of Guyanese don't know about this, but let me explain this. I know Ronald is there, doesn't like the long rambling on. And let me introduce Ronald also. For the past few weeks, Ronald has been doing the man in the street interview with regular people, big boy.
Yeah.
You know, street folks who's making a living somehow. Ronald came under my wings. And this is how I work with young people. You have to have that ability, the strength and courage to come to me. I will not come to your house. I will not knock on your door. I will not wake you up. I will not do the things that you're supposed to be doing to get yourself up and out and ready for what is to come or what's coming or what is here. I'm not going to do that for you. So what Ronald did, he understood by watching some of the videos and stuff. And this was a very long time ago. And he came and he said, hey, you know what? I would love to be part of the crew. I want to become a chef. Right away. From the time I saw him, he was hired because he looks like my son. And I miss my son so much. I want my son to be a part of what I'm doing. So I said, you know what? Maybe I can have him under my wings. And everything that I was supposed to be teaching my son, I'm going to hand it over to him. We can have a really nice thing going, right? Yeah. But I saw that Ronald doesn't want to be a chef. He was always into technology, and I saw that. I said, you know what, Ronald? You're going to do the production side of what Backyard Cafe is all about. He loved being behind the scenes.
You do a great job.
But guess what? He came a long way. In Guyana, there's no facility for young folks like yourself, Ronald, and yourself to actually make it out. In the 90s, as I finished school, they scrapped all the things with apprenticeship program and mentorships and all these things. So I didn't get I didn't get any mentorship here in Guyana. It was an Italian guy who took me under his wings, right?
Yeah.
And taught me everything I needed to know about life. It wasn't a Guyanese. So by me giving this interview to that you can write on my platform also so that other Guyanese can know that we have young talented Guyanese here too, is to also let them know we need more of their support. And by you supporting us, we're not asking for your millions of dollars.
A simple like, a share.
Just a simple
a subscribe.
share, subscribe,
Yeah.
a share. That is the win that we may need to get there.
Because sometimes, locally, we could get support, but on an international platform, a local person could share it and they could have an international person on their contact.
That's what it is.
You understand? So, me sharing it myself, I would reach them. You understand? But from a simple share from that person, it could reach a long distance.
Yeah.
A really good way it could go.
Yeah.
So that's the importance of the support and sharing
very important.
and these kind of stuff. The only way that this trip was possible for me was helping someone else. Like this would have been a whole week. This is a whole week I'm away from the barbershop. And I have a lot of customers that is be depending on me to cut their hair. Me closing the shop would have just left everybody on hold. They had this guy that came to me like about 2 days before the initial plan to come to Suriname. He's a strange guy. You want to work. You don't have anything going on for him and you want to work. He is a barber as well.
So you didn't judge him, you didn't do none of that. You just use your initiative as a young entrepreneur that I got to help somebody else here too.
Yeah, and it's going to help me as well. Because sometimes the work is be too much for me as well.
That's it.
You understand? So, I don't know this guy from anywhere, and I left this guy in my shop for an entire week. People calling me, hey, need a haircut. I said, yo, they got a guy in the shop, he cutting good. Yeah, so I'm going to support him.
I heard a few of those phone calls came in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
right
doing
now,
good.
he's there, he's doing his job, he's making his money,
what
and
you
I'm
did?
here now.
You open up a trust thing there. And that's
Yeah.
what some of us don't have. Look at it, right? Drive down Regent Street early in the morning. You're going to see all the young store clerks, right? Standing up outside waiting
Waiting for the person to come to
for the
open.
owner of the store to come and
Yeah.
open up the store. I encourage everyone, travel.
Yeah, travel
Get
is
the
very
exposure
important.
of somewhere different.
It's very nice traveling.
Even travel
honestly.
out of your community. Go to Linden, go to Berbice, go Essequibo, go in Georgetown. Some people never went to Georgetown.
That is me, You could ask anybody, even Ronald. Ronald is on my WhatsApp. For the time you miss me, I the town,
Yeah.
I the Berbice, I the Essequibo, I the Boateco, I the Linden, I the West Side. For the time you miss me, I the somewhere. You understand? I've been to a few other countries as well.
Right.
I went to Grenada. I spent like about 2 years living in Grenada.
Right.
I went to Trinidad, I went to Barbados and Suriname.
Exposure helps.
You understand? So, and this is the second time coming to Suriname.
Yeah. And you lived in Linden too for a bit?
Yeah, I lived in Linden.
Went to school in
I went
Linden?
to school in Linden as well. I was in the army. I worked at several locations in Guyana. So I've been traveling. You understand? And it's very nice to travel.
And how old are you again?
I'm 26.
Only 26 and you did all of that.
Yeah.
And still a music entertainer that I wish that you can get more views, but I wish you can get more gigs where you can get to promote your music and get paid at the same time.
Definitely. It can be frustrating sometimes, you understand? Sometimes, everybody should get the drive to keep going, you understand? But sometimes it's hard to keep that drive, you understand? Unless you really love something,
This is when you stick to it.
this is when you stick to it. Because it's not now I doing music, Like, since I was about 15, since I was in Fire 4, Fire 5.
And you're just wishing you can get that big break.
Yeah, get that break,
Yeah.
get that break, you understand?
And a respectable break. Could you play the Guyana song?
In a sweet Guyana, I want me born and grow. It's a real paradise, most beautiful place I know. Just watch how the river semi flow, and the sun just a shine, and the forest it's a glow. To live in love, that's the way we grow. Most beautiful place I know. So no matter where in the world I go, Guyana is my country, it's my home. So come and make we live it up. Them want to take we land, but we not go give it up. But our country make we big it up. And we just find ourselves, so right now we have to build it up. You see we goal and we backside mine. Them coming like a treasure, what we search and we find. And when you see the kite sure falls, me know it's a blow your mind. I'ma lift it up. Watch the secret people, I'ma lift it up. All the northwest people, I'ma lift it up. My girl, let him can you hear what I say?
Yes, I mentioned every
That's every
hot
tongue.
tongue in the country.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna pause it here. I'm gonna play this other one that Ronald did the music video for you.
That's Kukwani. You should play the Kukwani
Yeah.
one. Let me introduce them to Kukwani. Yes, because yeah,
Yeah,
that is it.
This is the Kukwani song.
That's the Kukwani song.
So we're playing it. You want
This is
folks
where-
to see
this is
how
where I'm
talented
from.
you are.
Yeah, so this is where I'm from, guys.
Rob one. Link me a location.
Oh, na 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 na, say whoa, 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 whoa. Now you know. Oh, na 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 na, say yeah, 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 yeah. Teddy J on the beat again, yeah. Sometimes the pressures in life is real, and you need to get away. Hey, so why don't you come take a trip with me? Yeah, something like a holiday. Sometimes the pressures in life is real, and you need to get away. Hey, so come take a trip with me. Yeah, to my sweet,
And
sweet
look at that right
Kukwani.
Ronald is the one who did the video.
And that is the first time that I met Ronald.
All right, pause that. Let them go get it again. Teddy J Official on YouTube,
Yeah.
please. Happy to share Teddy J's experience, his work, where he would like to be. So now it's just up to you to see it as something good and help him. He's young, he needs the help. I'm just trying to be the catalyst that's going to help drive Guyana to the next level. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, man,
Appreciate
it's a
it.
pleasure.
Delvin Adams, Backyard Cafe, sitting with Teddy J.
So if you're looking for me at the Heritage, you know me there in the corner. Me have the flyer on my left and on my right, and have a cake of the cassava.
In Maikwak Region 8, there is something new and exciting for the community. A brand new sewing center has just opened its doors, built at a cost of $7 million. It's a space where residents, especially women and young people, can learn tailoring skills and even start their own small businesses.
This is a demonstration that our government is developing our country and our human resource. Here in Maikwak, the women has requested a sewing center, which the PPP Civic government willingly funded.
Residents welcome the new center with gratitude, highlighting how it will open doors for economic opportunity and skill development.
I would like to say thank you very much for having this sewing machine to help our children to sew their uniforms and apron and those things we like to learn more better and more interest in this sewing.
Encourage our youths, encourage our women to participate in the sewing. So I'm very thankful to say that we get the sewing center and the new sewing machines.
This sewing center demonstrates that the government is investing in its people.
Welcome to the President's Diary, your weekly journey through leadership in action, where decisions aren't just made, they're lived. Join us as we follow President Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali in a week filled with strategy, service, and pride. This week began in Enmore on the east coast of Demerara, where President Ali spoke at the 77th anniversary of the Enmore Martyrs.
The ceremony honored the memory of Rambaran, Puran, Lalabaji, Suraj Bali, and Hari, the 5 sugar workers who were killed in a protest on June 16 1948, after demanding better wages and union representation. They were shot by colonial police during a peaceful picket, an event that galvanized labor movements across the colony, which was ruled by the British at the time. Speaking to a packed gathering, the president pledged to honor their sacrifice and pledged to restore Guyana's sugar industry to strength, declaring it will be great again under his leadership, with sugar workers placed at the heart of the sector's transformation.
Mechanization is being rolled out, not to replace people, but to support operations in the face of labor shortages. And let me be very clear, we have already said to the union, we want to sit down with you and discuss how the workers can be owners of this mechanization process. How we can make the workload lighter for the workers. How we can make the condition of work better by allowing the workers to be owners in the plantation and to be part of the revival and ownership of sugar in Guyana.
President Ali met with Harvard professor Joseph B. Fuller, who was in Guyana for a special lecture on labor, hosted by the American Chamber of Commerce in Guyana.
Professor Fuller, who specializes in labor management and the development of labor markets in advancing countries, was accompanied by AmChan's Vice President, Shan Nokto. On Thursday, President Ali met with a group of young Guyanese professionals at State House. The professionals, drawn from various sectors, have been working together through a project management, quality control and health, safety, security and environment HSSE company called Coach Inc. Discussions focus on the company, its role, and business and development opportunities in Guyana.
On Friday evening, President Ali gave the feature address at the commissioning of the World Trade Center in Georgetown.
The building spans about 37,500 square feet of modern office space right in the heart of Kingston, Georgetown. It is the first and only World Trade Center in the CARICOM region, putting Guyana on the global map for business and trade. The Trade Center is set to play a major role in Guyana's drive to become a regional hub for trade and investment.
Today's ceremony, as I said, is significant because now we have an enabling institution in the World Trade Center that would help us to leverage our capital here, that will help us to leverage new capital in the market. But more importantly, that would help us to network at a more rapid pace.
That's a wrap on this edition of President's Diary. Join us again next week as we continue to follow the footsteps of leadership.
Welcome to this week's edition of Weekly Digest, your front row seat to the policies, programs, and people shaping Guyana's development journey. Each week we go beyond the headlines to follow ministers of government as they implement the administration's agenda, one step, one story, and one community at a time. This week we start off by telling you that Prime Minister Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips met with executives from Indian company Kalpataru Projects International Limited and a delegation from Chinese company Shandong High Speed Group. The meeting centered around infrastructure development and construction, among other key areas that are abuzz in Guyana. In the infrastructure sector, Minister of Public Works Bishop Juan Edgel announced critical traffic diversions along the East Bank Demerara Public Road at Grove to ease congestion. The area is prone to traffic delays as there is a massive road expansion project ongoing, which will make travel faster and smoother. As part of the new traffic plan, private vehicles will use bypass roads while trucks and public transportation will continue to use the East Bank Public Road.
Yesterday morning, I met with all of the contractors in office. We sat down, we worked out our desk plan and all the rest of it. It's now for us to be able to get in here and get this done as fast as possible.
While traffic woes are being corrected, over in the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, opportunities are unfolding for residents in Cane Grove. Residents of the East Coast Demerara community now have the use of a spanking new sewing hub. Created under the Women's Innovation and Investment Network, WIN, interested persons will be trained and certified in garment construction.
Sewing is a very, very well-established skill. It's a lucrative skill. And we have been training many women through the WIN program across the length and breadth of Guyana. Through the WIN program, we have trained 17,000 women in diverse fields. You're going to add to that complement of women.
Minister of Natural Resources Vikram Barrett and his team of senior officials from the ministry and the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission arrived in Camarang, Warawat, Region 7 to address the concerns of residents. He also visited the communities of Kako, Jawala, and Kwebanang. Some Forte exhibitors displayed their goods and services while providing numerous training opportunities for young people at a TVET fair and exposition held at the Arctichung Conference Center on Tuesday. The event was hosted by Ministry of Education and themed Empowering Youths Elevating Skills TVET as a Catalyst for Inclusion.
Sometime within the next 3 weeks, we will commission the Bartica Practical Instruction Center. So now we have 9 out of 10 regions with state-of-the-art TVET institutions offering to our children and adults, young adults particularly, education in this field.
Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, UTAD, presided over the high-level open debate of the United Nations Security Council on Poverty, Underdevelopment, and Conflict, implications for the maintenance of international peace and security. Under the leadership of His Excellency President Irfan Ali, Guyana has championed 5 priority areas including climate change, food security, peace building and conflict resolution, prevention, women and global security, and youth and children in peace and security.
In the ongoing engagements on reform of the UN in the context of the UN 80 observance, we should ensure that any recalibration does not result in reducing the UN's role in development, global development, peace and security, and human rights. Greater coordination and complementarity within the UN system on these issues are critical.
And that's how the week unfolded, one step at a time, one community at a time, but many stories are being written. That's it for this edition. We'll see you next week with more stories from the heart of government. Welcome to this week's edition of Weekly Digest, your front row seat to the policies, programs, and people shaping Guyana's development journey. Each week we go beyond the headlines to follow ministers of government as they implement the administration's agenda, one step, one story, and one community at a time. Demonstrating the power of unity and civic responsibility, government ministers joined citizens across the country for a massive national cleanup early Sunday morning. Leading by example, Minister of Public Works Bishop Juan Edgel and his team took on the stretch leading to the Aubrey Barker Road roundabout.
We can stay in our air-conditioned offices or go to NCN Studios or another please clean up the surroundings. Please keep Guyana clean. And you take questions from media operatives. But leadership means boots on the ground, taking on the task, seeing what needs to be done, so that when you go back to those offices, you know exactly what you have to do to improve the lives of people and the environment.
The new Demerara River Bridge is now 90.7% completed. A total of 1,600 cubic meters of concrete seal was completed on the final bridge tower, Pier 35, on Saturday evening. With this milestone, the 62 piers encompassing the bridge's superstructure are now completed. In Region 8, the village of Murawa is celebrating improved access to safe drinking water. Over 100 residents will benefit from a new $34 million well, eliminating the need to trek long distances to fetch water from the river or rely on rainwater. The project was announced by Minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water, Susan Rodriguez, during a community engagement at the village Benab. The government's commitment to education and skills training has exceeded expectations. Through the Guyana Online Academy of Learning, over 39,000 scholarships have been awarded to date, nearly doubling the original target of 20,000. Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance and public service, Dr. Ashni Singh, shared the update at the third gold graduation ceremony this week.
Year after year, steadily increasing amounts of budgetary allocations. And in total today, we have allocated 12.5 billion Guyana dollars to the Guyana Online Academy.
June 12 marks World Day Against Child Labor, and Guyana joined the global call to end child labor in all its forms. Under the theme, Progress is Clear, but There's More to Do, Minister of Labor Joseph Hamilton reaffirmed Guyana's unwavering commitment to protecting every child's right to grow, learn, and thrive in a safe environment. The Ministry of Legal Affairs and the Judiciary, with support from UNICEF, has opened a state-of-the-art children's court at the Charities Magistrates Court in Region 2. The new facility is part of a $72 million overhaul that includes courtroom upgrades, a new annex, enhanced electrical systems, and modern washroom facilities. The ceremonial opening was led by Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Mohabir Anil Nandlal. And that's how the week unfolded, one step at a time, one community at a time, but many stories are being written. That's it for this edition. We'll see you next week with more stories from the heart of government.
Welcome to the President's Diary, your weekly journey through leadership in action, where decisions aren't just made, they are lived. Join us as we follow President Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali in a week shaped by service, strategy, and pride. This week began with gloves on and sleeves rolled up as President Ali joined hundreds of citizens across Guyana for the 10th National Cleanup Exercise. Despite the rainy weather, the President led the National Cleanup Initiative and participated in a tree planting exercise at the Vredenhoop roundabout in Region 3. Later that day, healthcare in Guyana took a leap forward. President Ali officially opened the new Diamond Regional Hospital, a modern, fully equipped facility set to serve over 40,000 residents along the East Bank corridor. In his feature address, President Ali said investments in health go beyond infrastructure. It reflects a commitment to human life and public dignity.
This is an investment not in walls and equipment. This is an investment in the people of Guyana, especially the people of the East Bank. This is an investment that will ensure our women and children, our elderly and our male folk, all alike, have a level of treatment here that is not based on income, that is not based on your status, that is not based on where you're from. A level of service that is equivalent to any service you can pay for anywhere in Guyana. That is what this investment brings to you. Quality service, efficient service, equitable service. This is an investment in the people of our country.
Constructed to meet international medical standards, the hospital will offer 24/7 emergency care, maternity and neonatal services, surgeries and outpatient clinics. It houses 75 inpatient beds, 3 operating theaters, and is outfitted with cutting-edge technology.
It was a proud moment for nearly 2,000 Gold Scholars who crossed the stage in the 3rd graduation exercise of the Guyana Online Academy of Learning. Held at the National Cultural Center over 3 days, the ceremony marked a new chapter for students from across the country. President Ali was there to celebrate their achievements and had this message for the graduates.
I want you to remember something. As proud as we are of you today, your responsibility does not end here. In fact, it begins here. Because the future of Guyana does not rest in oil barrels or buildings. It rests in the minds, the hearts, and the hands of people like you. It rests in our human capital. And be assured, Guyana needs you. We need your skills. We need your voice. We need your passion. We need you to stay. We need you to build. We need you to lead, not just in the office or the classroom, but in your communities, in your churches and temples and mosques, in your families, in every space where good leadership is needed.
This year's graduation was held under the theme Enhancing the Nation's Human Capacity, in line with the government's stated goal of expanding educational opportunity across all 10 regions. So far, the GOLD program has received $12.5 billion in public funding, averaging an investment of $312,000 per student.
Tuesday was a day of reflection. President Ali paid final respects to James Singh, former commissioner of the Guyana Forestry Commission. President Ali described him as a committed public servant who gave decades of dedicated service to the sustainable management of Guyana's forest.
A man whose contribution did not simply facilitate routine forestry administration, but helped shape the very foundations upon which our modern low-carbon development strategy was built. Let it be said clearly, in this solemn moment of remembrance, James Singh was instrumental in helping Guyana transform its forests into a globally admired model of sustainability and national prosperity.
President Ali cheered on the Guyana Golden Jaguars during their 3-0 win against Montserrat on Tuesday evening at the National Track and Field Stadium in Lenora.
On Wednesday, the president turned his focus to Guyana's growing energy sector. He delivered the feature address at the official launch of Oranduke Marine Services, a 100% Guyanese-owned company that will be providing subsea and diving support services to the oil and gas sector.
This is the road to resilience, and that is the real reason why we welcome Oranduke Marine Services, Inc. today.
President Ali said this bold step reflects the heart of Guyanese local content policy, empowering Guyanese businesses to lead in a globally competitive industry.
Spearheaded by local entrepreneur Harry Chand Tulsi, OMS brings cutting-edge training in offshore safety, navigation, and subsea technology.
When you see Oranduke Marine Services, you are seeing more than a marine logistics company. You are seeing a skills platform. You are seeing young Guyanese learning how to operate dynamic positioning system. You're seeing training in offshore safety, navigation and inspection protocols. You're seeing a classroom on the waves. You're also seeing local content come to life, not as a slogan, but as a strategy. You're seeing Guyanese businesses, workers, and professionals taking their rightful place in the value chain.
And the momentum is just beginning. President Ali says his government is crafting bold new policies to attract even more investment in Guyana's growing maritime industry.
On Friday morning, President Ali touched down in Brasilia, Brazil, where he attended the Brazil-Caribbean Summit 2025. He was warmly received at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Itamaraty Palace, by Brazil's Foreign Minister, the Honorable Mauro Vieira.
The head of state participated in a plenary meeting on the first day of the summit. The two-day summit, themed Bringing Together to Unite, reflects a focus on strengthening cooperation between Brazil and the Caribbean in response to shared challenges.
From cleanups along the roads of Lenora to high-level diplomacy in Brazil, it has been a week of action, reflection, and progress. That's a wrap on this edition of President's Diary. Join us again next week as we continue to follow the footsteps of leadership.
The government of Guyana has promised to deliver 6 new regional hospitals in various parts of the country. The Diamond Regional Hospital is the first to be commissioned. And today we meet with Dr. Sheikh Amir, who is the head of surgery and medical superintendent. He will tell us a little bit more about this facility.
Based on what we had before, Diamond Diagnostic Center wasn't a full hospital. They only had wards for maternity cases. So this hospital will now have all the wards for all the specialties, meaning there will be beds for pediatric cases, gynecology and obstetrics, surgery and medicine, and orthopedics also. We'll be having 3 functioning theaters, operating theaters, a functioning ICU, and neonatal intensive care, which is NICU, and we'll have support services like diagnostic radiology, CT scanner, and of course we'll have the subspecialties, psychiatry, dermatology, ear, nose and throat, ophthalmology, and dentistry, tagging along with us. The bed capacity is 75, which includes all the beds all over, including the ICU beds, the maternity beds, everything. This is a public hospital. Everything is free of cost. Having said that, this is a regional hospital. Therefore, there are some limitations in what services we can offer. However, we'll be offering, which is different from the diagnostic center, as I said, wards for admissions. We'll be able to deal with our emergency surgeries to some extent. the main surgeries. Of course, the subspecialty surgeries like neurosurgery and maxillofacial, we would not be able to offer here at this point in time. But we're looking forward to collaborating with our colleagues, and maybe in the future we may offer some of those services here. The staffing is a threefold kind of staffing. We are having the staff from the old facility. They're coming over here. We'll be having specialized services, specialists from Georgetown Hospital and a Cuban medical brigade. We're averaging like about close to nearly 400 nurses and doctors. We have our registration facility. You register in front there, and when they register you, they will direct you. Your name and room number will appear on these screens and direct you exactly to which door you're to go, which doctor you're to see. When you sit, you'll see your name appearing on the screen that's in front of the door or the side of the door. Of course, also, as your turn comes up, the audio will come on to say you are to proceed to room so-and-so, the name of the patient and which room. So that's nice. Then we have the CT scanner, which is new for a facility like this. It's one of the most modern scanners available in Guyana. There's an operating room at the back of the emergency department, which is a feature that doesn't exist in other hospitals. And of course, we have 3 operating theaters, right? Most regional hospitals only have 1 or 2. Looking forward to serving the people here and hoping the impact we're hoping to make is to reduce the amount of patients going to Georgetown Hospital. Definitely, the present institution, they see the emergencies, they stabilize them, and then send them on to Georgetown Hospital. Like complicated cases and all of that, or regular cases because they don't do surgery. So we're hoping to stop that unnecessary movement of the patients here in this area.
Somewhere to eat, yeah, somewhere that's nice, yeah, somewhere pristine, somewhere that's good at keeping it clean. I know a place on every magazine.
For 4 people and yeah.
That's why I'm telling you this. That's why I brought you here.
Just to see
And
how we can expand the
So
yeah.
This is for 4 people, and that house is for 2 people.
Yeah.
And
So
one.
This is named the plantation. In Dutch is how you say the plantation. Yeah. Well, it's the same thing. In English is the plantation, and this is across the bridge. This is over in well, that's new photo, right? Yeah, photo.
It's only half an hour by car.
And then you come to the plantation now, and then he's going to show us the cabin. You can have 4 people inside, and then you have the couple's cabin. So all around is the couple's cabin, and you stay in the middle of the rainforest. And
in the middle of the forest.
yes,
We have many animals, many
deers and the monkeys and stuff right here.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So this is what you get to see. So we just get it to show it off. We're not staying here, but we're showing it off, right?
So we have 2 bedrooms. One has a double bed, one has a double bed, and the other has 2 single beds.
So it's a 2-bedroom cabin. 4 people can stay in this one.
Yeah, the monkeys have.
It's hard. This one is hard.
So hard.
Yeah.
The monkeys.
Oh my God.
That one wasn't ready for you, that boy.
You're it's a big one.
Look, mango for you. But this one can't stop laughing. Watch.
It's a hard thing,
Good. Yeah. I hear the thing going tick.
No, better now than later.
Yeah, man fall like a salt bag, that boy.
Yeah, I hear it. But I thought it just adjusted.
So this one is a single cabin or the couple's cabin? This is the couple's cabin? Yeah. So as you come in, it is what it is. You get a bed and your bathroom.
This is a nice bathroom.
Yeah. This is the singles cabin. Really nice. It's enclosed for the lovers. Yeah. And this is sealed, right? So even though you're in the rainforest, no mosquito, right? We came to the plantation. It's really nice. We got a look on it, right? So now tell us how folks can get to you. Your phone number, email, anything that they can reach you to come to the plantation.
Yeah, you can make a reservation.
Yes.
Before you come. Your website, it's www.deplantagekommenwijnen.
Yeah.
www.theplantation.kommenwijnen.
Yeah,
but it's de plantage.
Yeah.
So it's not plantation.
But it's Dutch. That's Dutch. I just saying it in English.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
Flyer
a brochure.
also, yeah.
A brochure. So we got a flyer. He's gonna give us the flyer. So we get to see the cabin. We get to see the location, and it's vibrant. Just saw some snakes and everything. So it is what it is. This is the cabins in the rainforest. So you come down, you know what you're gonna get when you get to see the
That's
place.
true.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
So hey, come visit. Gotta go wrong. He doesn't bite. This the fire snake. You gonna tell Serrano it's right here. Oh, the snake that right here, big boy.
I know it got in there.
Oh.
But that was something else there. Hey, yo, Bob, let me get that
Hey, come on. Hey, okay, okay, I'm looking for somewhere to eat. Yeah, somewhere that's nice. Yeah, somewhere pristine. Come knock a taste. We got it all in the back. Come here, knock a taste. We got it all in the back. Come here, knock a taste. We got it all in the back. Come here, knock a taste. We got it all in the back. Backyard cafe. Yeah.
Standing tall with around 37,500 square feet of space, the 7-story World Trade Center Georgetown is right where you need it, in the heart of Kingston. But what does all this really mean for everyday Guyanese, especially those running small to medium-sized businesses? Well, here's the good part. This state-of-the-art center is designed to help small and medium-sized businesses connect with international markets. That means it's now easier than ever to take your products and services beyond Guyana's borders. It's got everything from hands-on workshops to expert mentorship and valuable resources. It ensures local businesses meet international standards and get export-ready products. Thanks to partnerships with over 300 World Trade Centers in 102 countries, local businesses can tap into a global network.
I'm confident that the WTC Center Georgetown will play a pivotal role in equipping our local businesses with the tools, networks, and exposure needed to compete and win on the global stage.
And as the very first World Trade Center in the Caribbean, Guyana is stepping up as a regional leader in trade and economic development.
So we're signaling to the international community, the sophisticated investors, that we are ready to play in any league.
The Board of Industrial Training has made significant strides in training over 13,000 Guyanese in the past 5 years. Participants have been able to benefit from recognized certificates in various fields. Today, 68 persons walk the stage at the Buxton Practical Instruction Center.
I would recommend this program, and specifically the electrical program, to anybody coming in. Just want to be an electrician or maybe have thoughts of pursuing it in the future. The teachers are good, the program is good, and more importantly, the stipend is great. For me, it was truly transformative and enlightening. I didn't have much background with electrical, but as the program went on, I developed kind of like a love for electrical stuff, fixing up the points, doing up switches, that kind of thing, and it's a very lucrative field as well, so it's great.
I believe that many young people, many come from different backgrounds. Some weren't privileged to have certain opportunities. And I'm really grateful that the government took this opportunity to grant these young people these opportunities so that they can make something for themselves.
I believe this course gives women an opportunity to pursue things that they traditionally would not be offered. They will probably be told that, that's a man thing, or probably no one would hire you because they more so would prefer to rely on a man. However, I've seen for myself that women, we strive in anything and we can accomplish whatever it is that the goal that we set before ourselves.
This year, the government has allocated $677.5 million to train an additional 2,397 individuals through BIT.
The Ministry of Public Works has awarded several contracts to residents of Buxton, including 75 drainage contracts. On Thursday, contracts were also handed out for the maintenance of 25 bridges and 10 lots of roadworks, creating both improvements and job opportunities for residents in the area. For Melina Sinclair of Buxton, this opportunity is a doorway to a brighter future for her family, especially her child, who requires special education and support.
I am very happy because currently it costs a lot to send her to school as it relates to her safety. I know we have schools in the country. The minister would have done a lot to have special ed schools. However, with my child, I have to be a little bit more careful with her. So having this contract would help me a lot to pay school fees for her.
Another beneficiary, Compton Huntley, shared his thoughts, saying the road contract is a great initiative by the government and a strong step toward boosting development in the country.
Being here in person at present and sharing out contracts is already a great opportunity for most Buxtonians, because a lot of us here, some of us are unemployed, and just depending on somebody to get a job, and not everyone here actually working every day or working at a government entity that they actually sure that every month they show run a salary. So this contract would be a very big boost within the community.
Minister of Public Works Bishop Juan Edghill also reaffirmed the government's commitment to delivering projects fairly.
This is how President Ali and the entire PPPC operates. We deliver development without discrimination.
The Ministry of Public Works has awarded several contracts to residents of Buxton, including 75 drainage contracts. On Thursday, contracts were also handed out for the maintenance of 25 bridges and 10 lots of roadworks, creating both improvements and job opportunities for residents in the area. For Melina Sinclair of Buxton, this opportunity is a doorway to a brighter future for her family, especially her child, who requires special education and support.
I am very happy because currently it costs a lot to send her to school as it relates to her safety. I know we have schools in the country. The minister would have done a lot to have special ed schools. However, with my child, I have to be a little bit more careful with her. So having this contract would help me a lot to pay school fees for her.
Another beneficiary, Compton Huntley, shared his thoughts, saying the road contract is a great initiative by the government and a strong step toward boosting development in the country.
Being here in person at present and sharing out contracts is already a great opportunity for most Buxtonians, because a lot of us here, some of us are unemployed, and just depending on somebody to get a job, and not everyone here actually working every day or working at a government entity that they actually sure that every month they show run a salary. So this contract would be a very big boost within the community.
Minister of Public Works Bishop Juan Edghill also reaffirmed the government's commitment to delivering projects fairly.
This is how President Ali and the entire PPPC operates. We deliver development without discrimination.
The Board of Industrial Training has made significant strides in training over 13,000 Guyanese in the past 5 years. Participants have been able to benefit from recognized certificates in various fields. Today, 68 persons walk the stage at the Buxton Practical Instruction Center.
I would recommend this program, and specifically the electrical program, to anybody coming in. Just want to be an electrician or maybe have thoughts of pursuing it in the future. The teachers are good, the program is good, and more importantly, the stipend is great. For me, it was truly transformative and enlightening. I didn't have much background with electrical, but as the program went on, I developed kind of a love for electrical stuff, fixing up the points, doing up switches, that kind of thing, and it's a very lucrative field as well, so it's great.
I believe that many young people, many come from different backgrounds. Some weren't privileged to have certain opportunities. And I'm really grateful that the government took this opportunity to grant these young people these opportunities so that they can make something for themselves.
I believe this course gives women an opportunity to pursue things that they traditionally would not be offered. They will probably be told that, that's a man thing, or probably no one would hire you because they more so would prefer to rely on a man. However, I've seen for myself that women, we strive in anything, and we can accomplish whatever it is that the goal that we set before ourselves.
This year, the government has allocated $677.5 million to train an additional 2,397 individuals through BIT.
There is amazing news for the small farming community of Lanabali, nestled up the Essequibo River. The residents there will benefit from a new control structure. This will better manage drainage and irrigation and give a real boost to agriculture in the area. President Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali made the announcement during one of several community meetings on Thursday. The control structure, which is similar to a sluice, will help to drain the area during the rainy season and during dry spells, ensuring the right amount of water flows into the farmlands.
The construction of a control structure at Lanabali was raised. Am I not right? As an urgent project. Today, I am pleased to tell you that as of June 1st, 2025, the project was awarded, and the project is expected to be completed on December 1st, 2025, and that is at a cost of $75,713,000.
The president also reminded residents that this project will add to the many his administration has delivered in Region 3.
I don't think we need to tell you that this government has not only fulfilled all its commitment, but this government stood by all of you in the last 5 years. You see, the difference between us.
The president also promised to keep working closely with the community to grow even more high-value crops. Honey production and boosting coconut production are just a few of the initiatives. Government will also clear 300 rods of drainage to support this effort.
This is United for Biodiversity, the Alliance podcast, a platform that unites global voices in a call to action to protect our planet's rich biodiversity. Join us for critical insights and let's stand united for biodiversity.
Welcome to this week's episode of United for Biodiversity, the Alliance podcast. I am your host, Guyana Wilberg, and today we explore a very important topic. We're going to be looking at the origins of Guyana's low carbon development strategy and the efforts that truly went into making such a pioneering document. To assist us with this discussion is a very special person. He was actually one of the key individuals who worked alongside the Guyana administration in putting together this important document. His name is Mr. Kevin Hogan, and he is an advisor to the Office of the President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us all the way from London virtually.
Good morning, Guyana. It's great to join you, and thanks so much for asking me on.
Indeed. I want to jump straight into our questions today. Now, with the low carbon development strategy, it has emerged, as I noted, a truly pioneering document that has really paved the way for bringing together this platform that allows us to really tap into new forms of revenue generation while also preserving Guyana's rich biodiversity and particularly Guyana's forests. But I want you to give our audience just some insights into what really went into creating this document.
Well, there's a big question, Guyana, and the answer probably will take longer than this podcast, but I'll try and give the quick answer. It was really, as you know, the brainchild of the former president, President Jack Deo. And I've often been asked precisely when did he initially come up with the idea? And it's difficult to pinpoint exactly, but I would say it was in and around the period of 2007. And for people who are a bit younger, maybe viewing, it's hard to imagine what Guyana was like even back then compared with the opportunities that Guyana has today. And to understand the choices the country was facing in 2007, you really need to go even further back. Because for a very long time, sadly, since independence, really, Guyana had gone through periods where the economy was not doing very well. The country was essentially bankrupt for a few decades. And then with the return of democracy and in parallel, a lot of really hard work on the basic economic reforms, the 90s were basically consumed with just getting the fundamentals right, getting debt under control. It's hard to imagine now, but all of the government's money was due to be paid on servicing debt, never mind paying teachers and nurses and running the rest of the country. When you're in that kind of situation, you have very few choices to make about what kind of economy you want. So it was extremely hard work, which took over a decade and really brought the country up to around 2005, 2006, which was when suddenly a whole series of things happened, not the least of which was Guyana finally getting over some key barriers, including some set within the IMF program that Guyana had been on for quite a long time. And while that overall was really good news and real testament to the hard work that had taken place in the 90s and a little bit after the turn of the century, it also presented some new choices for Guyana. And so if the 90s and the first half of the decade after the turn of the century was about the basics, getting the basics fixed, The second half was really about the second generation of reform. So there was the national competitiveness strategy. There were all sorts of initiatives around attracting in foreign investment into Guyana, because finally that was something that the country was able to do. But with those kind of choices come a whole series of other choices. And I remember the former president saying, every other country in the world that has reached this stage of development has used its natural resources unsustainably in order to reach the next stage of development. And in Guyana's case, that was obviously the forest. And so if you look around the world, not just in recent years, but over centuries, every country that has had a forest has destroyed it first and then sometimes brought it back. You know, Costa Rica is a great example. They destroyed it first. They lost 98% of their forest, and now they're bringing 50% back. They're doing an absolutely fantastic job. But the then president's vision was, can we not do that? Can we leapfrog over that unsustainable form of development? Development must always come first, but can we do it in a way that doesn't see the forest disappear like it's done in so many countries? And that was the real genesis. Now, he said it out publicly in a number of occasions. One occasion I remember well was the Commonwealth Finance Ministers meeting in Guyana. And the then president set out that we, as Guyana, he said he believed that the people of Guyana were willing to take on this challenge. Can we be a model for the world that shows that it's possible to advance development without destroying forests? And if so, we will still meet the development aspirations of the people, but we will also create a model for the world. And that was the vision. I would call it the low carbon development vision. And that vision gave way to the strategy, which had its first outing in 2009 as a result of the work that was done by the president in order to make the vision become something that could actually be implemented. So it's difficult today because so much of what he said then is now conventional wisdom around the world. It's difficult today to actually state how far-reaching that was. The LCDS was the first such strategy from any developing country in the world. I mean, think about that. Little old Guyana coming up with the first such strategy of any developing country in the world. And one of the first from any country, developed or developing. And the fact that here we are talking about it 16 years later shows the quality of the vision that it encapsulated and also its relevance to the world, because so many other countries now are emulating it or drawing from it. And we are also learning from them, of course. But that vision from all those years ago remains the vision that guides everything today and creates the new opportunities for moving forward.
Kevin, I think you really provided some critical context about the vision behind the LCDS, the vision for it, and what it has become. But I want to hone in on the strategy's aim to balance economic growth with environmental sustainability. And you touched on that a bit. But in terms of where the strategy is today, can you comment a bit more on the effectiveness of the strategy in helping us to balance those two?
Sure. Well, the strategy today obviously is even more evolved than it was back in 2009. And, you know, when President Ali got into office, he spoke of his objectives to expand the scope of the strategy. And I guess when we talk about the Biodiversity Summit, we'll go a little bit more into that. But to just take the kind of key element of the original vision and the key global model was around the concept of forest climate services and how that can become a development sector in its own right. I always say in the LCDS, the most important letter is the D. The president at the time, his vision was always development. It was not low carbon first and development second, it was development. And key to that was finding a way to monetize the value of the standing forests, one, and two, use that to invest in the local economy at village level, but also in the broader economy to address areas such as agriculture, areas such as energy, areas such as ICT. And again, it would take a long time to go into all of the benefits. But one that I would just single out is the monetization of the forest climate services, as it's described in the LCDS, was one of the key things that was way ahead of its time back then. And the then president said, we're going to do it in 3 phases. We're going to start with a bilateral who shares our vision. Then we're going to move into the voluntary and compliance markets, carbon markets, and then we're going to move into a full UNFCCC mechanism. Where we are today is that first phase, which turns out to be the Guyana-Norway agreement, was $227 million for performance from 2009 to 2015. No other country in the world achieved something of that magnitude per capita. Then when President Ali assumed office, I don't want to get drawn into the politics, but the truth is nothing had happened between 2016 and 2020. It was a bit of a tragedy in that the Forest Climate Services hadn't been remunerated despite all the hard work of people. And the first thing he said about doing was going back and fixing some of that damage. So from 2016 onwards, Guyana has been remunerated and being able to access the voluntary and now compliance markets. So uniquely in the world, Guyana has been paid for its forest climate services from 2009 up to 2022, which are the latest credits that we've issued. 23 is going through the system now. In total, that was $227 million from the Guyana-Norway. And due to the fact that the president went back and insisted on repairing some of the setbacks that had happened, from 2016 up to today, the trajectory of earning income continues to go up and up and up. Everyone talks about the Hess deal, but Guyana is now earning more from other sources as well. And it's entirely feasible that this year, Guyana will earn somewhere above $200 million from the sale of forest climate services. If it doesn't happen this year, it'll definitely happen next year. As an export, that puts us up in the same zone as rice. Yeah, I think rice last year was $254 million. So everyone knows that sugar and rice are traditional exports of Guyana. A lot of people know that rice contributes a lot to the economy today. Well, forest carbon credits are nearing being very much in the same range. And again, no other country in the world has come anywhere close to that. When it came to the Guyana-Norway agreement, we were the biggest in the world per capita, but Brazil and Indonesia were bigger in absolute terms. With carbon credits, Guyana is not only the biggest in the world per capita, but is just the biggest in the world at the moment across all countries. So again, with the leadership of President Jagdeo originally, but now the leadership of President Ali insisting that we stay the course and keep this moving forward, we now have in Guyana, unlike in most countries in the world, an entire economic sector that has just emerged in a very short period of time, with all the opportunities that creates for investment across the economy in villages, but also in infrastructure like adaptation and energy and all the other things that are in the LCDS.
But Kevin, we've heard quite a lot in recent times, especially since the discovery of oil and gas in Guyana, that this is going to be a huge turning point. Yet the government remains laser focused on this trajectory of ensuring low carbon development is a success. To what extent do you think this approach and having this part of the country's DNA has really already in advance shaped the way that we are going to be in terms of oil sector development and the new chapter of leadership that Guyana is going to pursue?
Well, the new chapter of leadership is widening, so that it's being able to do many different things at the same time. But I think the question of oil and its association with low carbon development strategy often gets misinterpreted. Guyana's own energy usage and trajectory for usage, as set out in the original CDS and now in the subsequent evolution, is about an energy transition that is more ambitious than almost anywhere in the world. Now, sadly, the original CDS had a Mile of Falls as central to it. If a Mile of Falls was up and running today, which it could have been, electricity prices would be lower, but also there would be a much lower carbon footprint from the energy sector within Guyana. So when the gas to energy project finishes in the coming year, it will generate that halving of electricity in terms of contributing to the economy and to real people's bills. But more importantly, it will also see the halving of Guyana's energy-related emissions profile. And that's really important point to make, because What countries do globally is about their own consumption. So you look in Europe, you look in North America, wherever. The oil that is exported for a global market. And that is driven by global demand. So what Guyana is essentially doing is reducing its demand for fossil fuels with an extremely ambitious energy transition plan. But then Guyana's oil is also out there in the global market. And it's really important that people also read the LCDS's discussion about that sector of the economy, because from a low carbon perspective, Guyana is not in some extreme situation, that's sometimes characterized. It's a very sophisticated position on oil and its relation to emissions, which, because it's sophisticated, it takes too long to explain, but I've listened to the vice president explain it, and it's essentially around Guyana. If Guyana were to leave its oil in the ground, the oil that the world would continue to use, because this is global demand, would come from other places. It wouldn't be reduced. It would come from other places. And many of those other places have far more carbon intensive oil than Guyana. So for Guyana to withdraw from the global market for oil and gas would stop investment in hospitals and schools and roads and all the other things you see around Guyana, one. But two, it would do nothing for the world's energy transition. So Guyana, with the tax on flaring, for example, Guyana with many of the other measures that are in place, is well ahead of other countries on oil production. But equally, the position on global carbon pricing, starting with the developed world and the G7 in particular, the removal of subsidies for exploration, is a policy-based approach to oil and gas that is as thoughtful as the approach to the forest. And going right back to their origins, the then president was talking on exactly these two fronts, even though oil was still not a reality for Guyana. The global position on oil and gas from Guyana's perspective was the same back then as it is now, which was based around carbon pricing, based around subsidy removal, et cetera, et cetera. So it was another example of far-reaching vision ahead of its time.
Thanks, Kevin. And you noted a point that I really want to circle back to, and that was the mention of the Amila Falls project. And I want to know from your perspective, do you consider this one of the star projects of the LCDS vision and strategy? What are your thoughts on it as Guyana advances the diversification of its energy matrix?
Well, it was of the original CDS, and it was led again by others. It was not led by me, but they did a fantastic job on putting a project together that would have halved citizens' electricity bills and brought emissions down as well. So, just speaking personally, I'm cautious of avoiding the politics, as I said, but it's a real tragedy that the people of Guyana didn't get to benefit from that, because it would have transformed people's lives and made businesses much more successful. So it was a real tragedy that that decisions were made to not go ahead with it. So you have to come up to today, and the right approach now has to be gas to energy, because a lot of the permits and a lot of the hard work that had gone on in Amila all expired. So you have to kind of go back and start again. So my understanding, and these are probably questions that are better for GPL or GEA, but my understanding is gas to energy will be able to satisfy the growth in demand for the moment. It will still have energy related emissions as well as electricity prices, and then Amila Falls could come in a future phase. It's in there in the new LCDS, but just because of the way things panned out, gas to energy has now come first, and Amila will hopefully be in the future. But to your question, was it a centerpiece? It totally was. Could it have halved electricity prices for citizens? Yeah, and brought emissions down. But not all is lost on that front. The money that was allocated for Amila in 2021, 2022, it was reallocated to solar in Linden and in Essequibo and Berbice, in various places. I think there's 9 sites. Again, check with the GEA. So the investment still went into renewable energy. It could have done an awful lot more than it did had it gone into Amila, but it still went into solar energy in 21, 22, and that is now coming on stream as we speak and benefiting the people in those locations.
Thanks so much for those insights there, Kevin. To wrap up our session today, the LCDS has indeed advanced in its objectives, and now we see the call for us to be more thoughtful on the fight for biodiversity protection. Tell us a bit about how the LCDS speaks to this and the importance of the upcoming Global Biodiversity Alliance Summit in highlighting the achievements where the LCDS is concerned.
Well, I'm really excited about the upcoming summit because it does actually remind me of what I was privileged enough to witness all those years ago, which then was around low carbon. But biodiversity was always part of the vision of the LCDS. And the value of the forest, whether you look at it through a carbon lens or a biodiversity lens or a water management lens, which is another lens to look at it, is Guyana has this vital global asset. Because of the realities of the time globally, low carbon was kind of the zeitgeist. It was the most prominent thing, and that in many ways is why the LCDS started with the climate aspects of the forests. However, the biodiversity aspect was always known about, and it was always hoped that the time would be right to expand the LCDS. So President Ali, when he started his leadership on this, which, you know, one of the privileges of my job is I get to see the president on an international stage in the same way as I got to see President Jack Day on the international stage. And I often say I wish more Guyanese could see that, because they are the manifestation of how Guyana is really punching above its weight. So in the old days, it was more around climate, and now it's more around biodiversity. But the President Ali's stature on the world stage is just phenomenal. And that's why I think a lot of people around the world have so much faith in what's about to happen on biodiversity, the summit, the alliance, and everything that comes since, because Guyana has established its credibility on it. And it, by showing what Guyana has shown on the first bits of the LCDS, whether that's the forest, whether that's climate finance, whether that's energy, whether that's Amerindian development adaptation, has given confidence that on the next bit of the LCDS, whether that's urban development, biodiversity, water management, is going to be as pioneering, to use your word. So it's really amazing to see the vision that the president has, but also to see the quality of international support that's coming along. President Duque has been doing a really amazing job. Some of the CIs and others who have been president of Guyana for many years are doing an amazing job. And what it is that's so like all the other evolutions of the LCDS is it's Guyana-led. Yes, we've talked a lot about the presidential leadership, but beneath that, there's a lot of people across the government, across civil society, Tushaus, village councils, the private sector, you name it. There's so many people in Guyana that have led on this vision and making it a reality that, you know, we can take it as read that if things continue, that's going to happen again. And so that's, to answer your question, how I believe we've got to this day, is it the next evolution, and it will be Guyana-led, as it always has, with Guyana at the fore, but with some fantastic international partners without whom it wouldn't be possible. In the old days, we had people like the Prime Minister of Norway, the Minister, we had people like Prince Charles. Now we're having some new international partners step up and help Guyana. But the one consistent theme that's come all the way through is that it's Guyana-led, it's a Guyana-owned vision, and it's Guyana and Guyanese who are making the things happen which benefit the country, yes, but take it from me, because I witness it, they're also helping the world, and Guyana continues to punch above its weight.
Kevin, thank you so much for providing your insights today. They have truly enriched the discussion as well as our overall knowledge about the LCDS and the vision and the important individuals who've been working behind the scenes, and as well the giving us that insight into the frame of mind of the former president and now vice president of Guyana, Dr. Bara Jagdeo, and now that leadership continuing with President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali. So thank you so much for those insights once again.
Pleasure. Thank you, Kiana.
Indeed. To our audience, thank you as well for joining us. Be sure to join us next week again as we bring you more insights on the importance of protecting the world's biodiversity and the role Guyana intends to play in all of this. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to United for Biodiversity, the Alliance podcast. Be sure to follow us for more insightful episodes on our Spotify, LinkedIn, and Facebook accounts.